So hi, my name's Rose. I'm from Rhondda Local Nature Partnership. Part of the partnership is the Wildlife Trust of South and West Wales. I'm here with Meg today. And we're in beautiful Brynna Woods Nature Reserve. So Brynna is an ancient woodland located between Brynna and Llanharan. It's predominantly a hazel woodland, which is great for dormice. And there's also a marsh called Llanharan Marsh, which is good for devil's foot scabious and the marsh fritillary butterfly. Yes. So today we're going to look for some hazelnuts and find evidence of dormice on the reserve. Dormouse in general are quite rare in Wales. Here in RCT we've got quite a nice population, here in Brynna Woods and in some of our hedgerows further along. The dormice are nocturnal and they tend to live in the trees and don't really come onto the ground at all. So the best way to find evidence that they're here is to look for their feeding signs rather than the animal itself. So what we're going to do is look on the ground underneath hazel trees because they mostly eat hazelnuts but also berries and insects, and we'll find that they have a special way of opening the nut, and that's how we can tell that they've eaten it. The first thing you need to do if you're going out to look for hazelnuts is to look for a hazel tree. So this is a hazel tree. You can see it's got quite sort of silvery grey bark. This was quite an old one, so it's got lots of mosses on it as well. They tend to have these sort of straight hazel stalks coming up. The shape is generally quite easy to tell apart from other trees as well. They can have these sort of long spreading branches. So when we look at the leaves a bit closer, it can give us extra clues. First thing I would look at is the buds, especially in winter. They can be brown, but most of the time they're green. And then when we look at the shape of the leaf, it's nice and round, often with a point at the end, but not always, so that can confuse you sometimes. And if you feel the leaf, it often feels a bit fuzzy underneath. It feels quite soft to the touch. So obviously another sign that you're looking at a hazel tree is if you find a hazelnut on it. So on this tree you can see a slightly sad looking one, but we've also found one on the floor where you can see it a bit closer, and it's usually light green with these spiky bits surrounding it, and they're usually in a cluster of 3 when they're on the tree.
Once you've found your hazel tree, you can take a look and see if you can find some nibbled nuts.
Okay, so there's lots of great ID guides online that you can use to help you find out who's opened what nut. So this is a good one, the Nut Detective from Wildlife Watch. And we'll take a closer look at these nuts to see who opened them. So the easiest one to work it out is, this is a squirrel, so it's just being cracked in half. So if you think about a squirrel, they've got a big front teeth, they just crack the nut and they get the nut out straight away and chuck this on the floor. Birds will open it in a similar way, so a bird like the nuthatch might stuff the nut into a crack in a tree, and they can open it in that way. There are a couple of small mammals that might open hazelnuts, so we've got wood mice and bank and field voles as well, and what you'll see is on the inside of the rim here there is sort of chew marks, and you'll see them on the inside, and then if it's a mouse, there'll also be lots of chewing marks on the outside of the nut there. The vole looks very, very similar. You've got little tooth marks all around the inside of the hole, but there won't be any tooth marks on the outside. The dormouse nut, I've got a few examples here, is really quite different. They've create this quite nice, even hole. Lots of people say it sort of looks like a clog, the dormouse open nut. And what you'll find is the inside there's no tooth marks on that rim. So if you run your finger around the inside of that hole, it's nice and smooth. And then you'll see tooth marks sort of parallel to that. So that's the dormouse nut. So you might be wondering why dormice eat hazelnuts in the first place. Do they just taste good, or are they good for them? So dormice are true hibernators. That means that in winter they'll go into hibernation because of the cold winter temperatures. So to do this hibernation for those long winter months, they need to eat a lot, and hazelnuts are the perfect food. They're high in fat content, but it does take a lot of energy to get into the nut in the first place. So to get into this nut, a dormouse takes about 20 minutes to work its way through the shell. So you know it's really worth, for that hazelnut inside, they have to eat them. So here we have an area where we've coppiced the hazel, and that simply just means, as part of our management, we need to occasionally, on a few-year rotation, cut some of the hazel trees to keep the ground open and let a bit of regeneration occur. So all we need to do is cut at the base of the tree, and we just leave the stump behind, and all of these small little shoots will grow up. So when you're looking at an older tree and it's a bit more mature, you might find those straight rods that just grow straight up, and this is just the new shoots that appear. Thank you very much for joining us on our virtual dormouse nut hunt in Brynna Woods. We'd love to know how you got on with your nut hunt, so send us any pictures you have and like and share this video. Thank you.